Welcome back. This is Chapter 2. In this video, we will discuss Morph's combat experience and his friend. Listen closely. How did Morph meet his friend?
How heavy was your gear?
How what?
Heavy?
How heavy was I?
No, was the gear.
Huh?
Your gear.
I carried everything I owned on my back, and has a shelter half, what you call a shelter half. And you team up with another person who has another shelter half, and the two of you put your shelter halves together, and you get a tent. And the two of us lived together. Was a Mexican guy from New Mexico, United States. His name was Raul Fernando Banos. I just called him Banos. But him and I were buddies during the war, all during the war. And then after the war, he got placed with another unit. And he was very afraid, and he didn't want to be there. And we shared, like I said, we shared a shelter house, and we used to talk at night. But he was afraid of me because I had nightmares. But he was afraid I was going to get my gun and shoot him. So he waited until I go to sleep, and then he hid my gun. And Raul Fernando Banos, he was a nice guy. He had me sent back like to a M.A.S.H unit. Mm-hmm. Because of my nightmares. And they had doctors in the M.A.S.H unit. Didn't have no doctor where we were. Mm-hmm. And so I went, he had me sent back there. And the doctor asked me why I was back there to the M.A.S.H unit. And I said, well, my foxhole buddy is afraid of me because I have nightmares. He said, oh, for crying out loud, we all have nightmares. Go back to your unit. So that's the extent of that.
What else should I know about your experience during World War II?
Boy, that's a tough question. I can tell you about one experience that I had. I walked around a hill. Like I say, I never was on the front line. I was always with the flamethrower demolition unit. I walked around, we were going to move up. What we did on Saipan, what we did was we would stay about 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks. And then they'd say, okay, pack up, we're moving up. And then we'd move up again. And then we'd stay there for another a week or two. And they kept doing that. I was glad I didn't have to be on the front line. And I stayed with the flamethrower and demolition unit. And we were always back up and follow up, and about 2 week leaps like that. And we walked around this hill, and I heard 2 rifle shots. Mm-hmm. And I dove headfirst into the cane field, where the cane was all matted down. And I dove down there, and they told me to stay down. And I found out later that they had shot and killed the 2 guys right behind me. Ponder was killed instantly. Mm-hmm. Procise died a couple days later, and they said he didn't die there. Well, he didn't die there, but he got shot there, right behind me. And I dove headfirst into the cane field, and they told me to stay there. And they said, everybody was saying, he's in that tank, he's in that tank. It was a old Japanese tank, broken down tank, sitting there. And he was in that tank. And they were going to pull up. They had what they call a half track. It's a pickup truck with
Tracks.
the front half looks just like a regular truck, but on the back they had little tracks, and they had a gun mounted in the bed. And they pulled up. They said he was in that Japanese tank, and he shot and killed the two guys behind me, Ponder and Procise. And I stayed down, and they told me to stay down. They were going to shoot right over me. And they pulled up with a half track, and the guy shot the two, and like I say, killed the two guys right behind me. And he knew they were going to shoot the tank, so he jumped out of the tank and he started running. He didn't get very far. They shot, killed him. But I was face down in the cane when they were, and they did. They shot right over me. They blowed that tank to bits. But he was out of it. He'd already got out and run. He didn't run very far. But, I remember laying there, and they told me to lay down, stay down, because they were going to shoot right over me. And then Banos and I later had moved up, and we got behind. We were shot at by a machine gun, and there was only one big tree, about like that, and Banos and I got behind the tree. We couldn't get our hind ends in. I expected to get hit in the back, but I wanted to protect my head. And we hugged each other behind that tree. And you could hear the bullets hitting the other side of the tree. And the leaves were coming down on us. And
Sit still.
with the flamethrowers, and we go into the caves. Well, before we went in the caves, we would send a guy in there. We had a Japanese prisoner, and we sent him in to the caves and told him, tell the people to come out, because we were going to throw flamethrowers in there, and if they stayed in there, they would be burned up. So he went in there, and when he come out, he had a bloody nose. Somebody had punched him in the nose. because he was a Japanese, and he made friends with an American.
Who do you suppose punched him?
A Japanese?
Another Japanese soldier, probably. Right in the nose.
So he punched him in the nose. My foxhole buddy, his name was Raul Fernando Banos, and he didn't want to be there. He's from New Mexico in the United States, and he said, sometimes he said, I just think I'd stick my foot up and prop it up all night so maybe it'd get hit in the foot and they'd have to send me back to the ship.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, he was,
Did he ever do that?
no.
No.
I told him, I said, don't do that.
Yeah.
We, after we got separated, and I was on Tinian Island, and he got put with another outfit.
Mhm.
And you can't believe what he did. I think he lost his mind.
Mm.
He was in a foxhole down, and all of a sudden he jumped up and shook his fist at the enemy. He shook his fist at the enemy. Big mistake.
Mhm.
They shot him
Mhm.
and killed him.
Mhm.
That's where he ended. Raul Fernando Banos.